Good evening, everyone. So, we have the music notebook put together now, and all of the important sheets are now separate, and they're in the plastic protective sleeves, and that'll be really convenient for me now. I'll be able to flip through them really easily, and I had a lot of fun, I must say, putting this together tonight. It was really bringing me memories to flip through all these different music sheets and just kind of remember where I was at the time. Going back about 25 years at this point, so that was quite a nice trip down memory lane. You see here I've laid out 3 different guitar picks that I've used as my technique has evolved. Mostly, let's say in the last 10-15 years, that I've been playing more aggressive music. Starting here with the Dunlop, I think they used to call these Tortex, I'm not really sure. These are actually a variation because the Tortex were really shiny and smooth, which I didn't necessarily want. I like the thickness that you could get in the Tortex, and I wanted those same thicknesses, but with a rough texture. That way, you get kind of more of a rubbing tone as the pick strikes the string, and also it's easier to hang on to when your fingers start sweating. Eventually started playing the Jazz 3 picks. This is a Jazz 3 XL, so it's quite a bit larger than a regular Jazz 3. And here's the normal Jazz 3, and that's actually the pick I mostly use now. Once you get used to the fact that it's so small and you just learn how to hold on to it, it's very quick, and because it's smaller, it makes it more rigid for the same thickness. So, anyway, but I'll come back to the point of showing you the different picks and so forth in a minute. So, I was flipping through this notebook, and as I flip through the pages, you can kind of see some of the early stuff that I was playing. A lot of Van Halen and Ozzy Osbourne, stuff like that. So we come to the packet that was distributed by Vic Trigger when I went to his seminar. Vic Trigger was an instructor with GIT, which is the Guitar Institute of Technology out in Hollywood. And as I mentioned in another video I just made, he was going around to a few select major cities basically, and giving seminars that basically lasted a whole day. So you'd be playing guitar for, I think it was 6 hours or something, and essentially just given a huge crash course on the kind of technique that they teach at GIT. So I never actually got to go to GIT myself, although I wanted to, but I did have 2 friends from high school that went. From what I hear, it was a really amazing experience. But anyway, getting to the interesting thing that I wanted to go over today is, I don't know if you can read that, I hope so, speed techniques. Now, in his notes and in his lecture, speed techniques began with your right hand speed position. And basically the important point was there are many different right hand positions among fast guitarists, but in general, in all caps he writes, the right hand picks tremolo style for each particular guitarist. So that means regardless of what style of pick you have, which way you hold it, I mean, you could have hand holding the pick like this, or like that, or like that. However it is that you hold onto the pick. The point is that you pick with a tremolo, which is just a very fast up and down motion. And the main point is you use whatever keeps your hand rigid. So most of the motion comes either from the wrist or the elbow or some combination of the two. But the thumb and the finger that holds onto the pick stays rigid. That's how you play really fast and controlled. So, this mentions the same thing. Even when sweeps, non-alternate picking patterns are used, the position of the right hand is the same as for tremolos. And the next point, rather than trying to speed up slow but accurate picking, try to slow down your tremolo and learn to control it. Eventually, you'll want one right hand position for all your playing, which will be relaxed and controllable at both slow and fast speeds. And then from there it goes on to some exercises, how to develop your tremolo to where it's controlled, different ways of learning how to isolate down and up strokes, different patterns to use, and that sort of thing. Some stuff on different timing. As far as left-hand technique, the point mostly mentions that most left-hand speed comes from following repeating finger patterns, string after string. So, obviously when you're playing, let's say, a 2-octave scale on all 6 strings, then you're going to have lots of different fingerings involved, but really, in each particular key, you're probably going to have only, say, 3, maybe 4 different fingerings between all 6 strings. And as you move around, those 3 or 4 patterns are going to repeat a lot. So, but anyway. And then, of course, another point that he made was the best way to learn to play fast is to play fast. And the idea is that you build small bursts of speed first, and then connect them in groups. So what I used to do basically is I would set up a metronome routine that was similar to like a pyramid workout in the gym. You start at slow speeds where your hands can easily keep up for long periods of time, and then you just gradually bump up the speed on the metronome by like 5 beats per minute, 10 beats per minute, something like that, and then just keep playing through the same exercises. No more than a couple of minutes on each speed, basically, just to make sure your hand warms up to that speed and then gets used to it. And then you would send the speed up again. And as you get closer and closer to your limit, you start shortening the patterns that you play. So if you can keep up for, let's say, 16 beats on a normal easy speed, then eventually you're keeping up only for 8 beats, and then for 4 beats. And then when you're at your maximum, you might go beyond it and start playing short bursts of only 2 beats or 4. And then the idea is with time, those short bursts you'll be able to play faster and faster. And then the longer sections will eventually also increase in speed. So, and if you're methodical about it, using a metronome, you'd be surprised how little time it takes. 6 months, something like that, and you can make a very substantial increase in your speed. that's about it for the general ideas on how to begin working on speed playing. So maybe in another video I'll actually get my guitar hooked up and demonstrate. Right now I'm obviously trying to be quiet. It's nighttime. Everyone around me is asleep, so there's only so much noise I can make, but if I can find some time, I do intend to do a few clips here where I actually do play a little bit. So well, and maybe in a future video we'll talk about modes, which is the next big section, which takes up quite a substantial amount of the notes in here. Yeah, somewhere in here I also, there's George Lynch. He was one guitar player that did a lot of amazing solo work that is very influential. But here again we have a picture of my guitar instructor from high school, Neil Haverstick. This was when I lived in Colorado, and he's a really versatile guitar player. From him I learned mostly a lot about, actually I learned just little bits from a lot of different styles. So basically I learned a little bit about how to play classical, a little bit about flamenco, some jazz. Mostly what I concentrated on though was music theory. So, yeah. Seems like a very academic thing to study, but actually it's what opens your mind as far as your creativity. If you know music theory, then it really broadens what you can play, what you can come up with. So spend a lot of time applying that knowledge and working that into my lead playing. So, yep. Well, it's getting kind of late, so I hope you guys have enjoyed these new clips that I'm putting together here. I'm trying some new ideas with lighting and background. So, hope that brings a few relaxing vibes and some tingles. So, anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.